It's time for the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show with Martha Sanchez, a show focusing on providing women with information to take their life off pause and help them build a successful business. Martha is a registered nurse with a Bachelor in Nursing and a Master's of Business Administration, and the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show furthers her personal mission of empowering women to help them build successful businesses so they can reach financial independence. Coming up, we'll discuss such topics as leadership, social media, search engine optimization, marketing, branding, and other business building topics, helping you grow your business. It's the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show. And now, here's your host, Martha Sanchez.
Thank you for joining me, and welcome to the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, where every week I bring you resources to thrive in today's marketplace. Are you an entrepreneur who is interested in being the host of your own radio show? Do you want to be acknowledged as the expert in your field? Do you want to increase your visibility and get heard? Then you're in the right place. Our expert team has put together a Podcasting by Professionals product to get your name in the game right away with a step-by-step instructional. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. Special pricing is available now at bit.ly, that's bit.ly/P enroll. Join us. We're reaching millions, and so can you. So dream big and take action now. Just go to http://bit.ly, that's bit.ly/P enroll. Well, let's get to today's show. Are you hesitating at the thought of collaborations? Are you wondering if it's the right move for your business? Suzanne Strisower is an expert at creating effective collaborations, and we are going to be discussing what you should look for in order to make sure that you will grow your business by collaborating the right way. Excuse me, by collaborating the right way. Let me tell you a little bit about Suzanne. Suzanne Strisower is a certified life and career coach. She is an in-demand host of her own weekly radio show, the Living Life on Purpose radio show on the Living Well Talk Radio Network. Suzanne is also an expert team member with Podcasting by Professionals, where she provides training on collaborations and guest interviews techniques. She is also an award-winning author of 3 books, including the International Book Competition award-winning workbook, 111 inspiration life purpose quotes and exercises to find your purpose in life. Her newest project is geared towards helping authors launch their books in just 90 days through the program. And the program is called The Best Virtual Book Tour. And you can learn more about it at thebestvirtualbooktour.com. Academically accomplished, Suzanne has a master's degree in counseling psychology and numerous specialized trainings. She has been featured on National Geographic's hit television reality show, National Public Radio book show, and numerous radio shows and telesummits. Suzanne has been quoted as an expert in publications by the University of Phoenix and SheKnows.com, among others. Well, I could go on, but let me welcome Suzanne Strisower. Suzanne, are you there? Oh, Suzanne?
I'm here with you, Martha.
Oh, great. For a minute there, I thought that the internet gremlins had worked on us and I lost you.
That can happen.
That can. Well, Suzanne, let's talk a little bit about the collaboration, since that's our topic today, and the pros and cons about collaboration. So maybe you can elaborate just a little bit for the audience about the pros and cons and kind of what people really worry about when they think about collaboration, because a lot of people have fear and hesitate with that.
You know, that's a great question, Martha, and a lot of it is, I think, when people think about collaboration, what does that mean? And, I think about, people in kindergarten. When you were in kindergarten, you learned how to play in the sandbox together, right? So this collaborations is the adult version, the professional version, the business version of playing in the sandbox. So when you're collaborating, the things that you want to think about are, you don't want people throwing sand in your face. You don't want people, throwing sand out of the sandbox. You want for people to play nice and to play with you and, potentially build a sandcastle together so that if you're, using the metaphor of sand, if you're on a beach and you're building some big structure, that they're going to help shore it up and work with you to build whatever that dream vision is that you have. So when I think about collaborations, I always think about who it is that makes sense, what makes sense. And so some pros and cons I thought about this were, so some pros are that they'll share the workload. Like you want people who are going to be with you who will do an equal amount of the work. So at the end of the day, you don't feel resentful and you actually feel good and inspired. And that the collaboration partners actually, if you've got good ones, will help you leverage your own work. So you and them work together on behalf of both you. So you're twice as well off as you were if just you were doing it yourself. And they help give you more exposure. And so if you have good collaboration partners, then you have equal-sized lists, and you have ways that you can both benefit each other. In our case, Martha, we've both benefited each other because we've been on each other's radio shows. We collaborated together for Podcasting by Professionals. We met some other people. So I think it's giving you more exposure. And then the last one is to get your product out to more people, which is the goal of podcasting or collaborations for me, is how do you get the message out to more people? So those are just sort of practical. And then if you want the cons, I'll give you the cons, because I did sort of think about what the cons should be or what you should think about, like red flags for people in business when you're thinking about collaborations, the things to take into account and places you shouldn't go.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's important. And you covered some very critical pieces about sharing the workload or leveraging the work, increasing your exposure, getting your product out to more people. And there's another one that I thought about myself, which is also enhancing your services, because sometimes collaboration involves you getting a complementary product that people need in addition to your services that you may not offer. And that is a great customer service tool. So it results in cross referrals, both, you referring to your collaboration partner and your collaboration partner referring back to you.
That's right. And also, to just take that the next step further, Martha, which is what we've done in Podcasting by Professionals, we actually put together a group of people, the four of us. Each one of us has a different skill. Teresa doing the branding and messaging, me doing guest collaborations and in-demand hosts and how you get guests, you doing how you market and promote your show, and Keith is the one who's talking about distribution. And so each one of us had a specific niche or expertise, and then when we got together, like you said, that made for a great collaboration.
Absolutely. So let's talk just quickly a little bit about the cons. We got about 3 minutes that we can talk a little bit about those. And yes, we do need to consider the cons. We don't want to be negative, but these are, like you said, red flags that we have to look out for.
Well, and the other thing I think with that, Martha, is that if people don't think about the cons, then these things can come back around to really cause you trouble later. So, you don't want to have rose-colored glasses when you go and think about a business and move or venture, and neither do you want to do that with collaborations. And so one of the things that I think is really important is that if it's not balanced or even. And so sometimes people will pick up the slack, but day over day, are both people or both companies or whatever it is, are they doing their share of the work? And if they're not, and you can see that, then probably not a good person or group to work with as a collaboration partner. Also, mismatched energies. And this is kind of like not being balanced, but it's different. And so if one partner is frenetically working all day, making the other person crazy, and the other person is very organized, methodical, and the other one is very sort of scattered and gets things done at the last minute, that might also not be a good match and a con because the styles don't match between the people. So again, probably not a good collaboration partner.
Yeah, and I like that one especially because you're right. A collaboration partner is sort of like dating or a small marriage. So you've got to be synergistic in your, and complement each other's characteristics. But if you're polar opposites, it may not work very well.
That's right. And or if you can't work it out. But if you're starting out and you're thinking about collaborations, these are some of the things that I think that are really important. The other thing for collaborations is sometimes people will misrepresent the truth. So in other words, if you and I were going to get together because we wanted to both expand our reach, and we both said we had lists of 100,000, and then one or the other of us didn't have that list, then that would be a misrepresentation. And that's also something that can not bode well for collaborations, is when what people are supposed to bring to the table, they really aren't.
Yep. So being very transparent about things. That's true.
Those are the things that I make sure people, when they're thinking about collaborations, take into account.
Those are all great points. One of the other things that I know people think about is there is a certain amount of loss of independence in a collaboration because we have to work in a partnership and check with each other or each other person in the collaboration. You can't just make a unilateral decision without informing the others in the group. So that's another thing that you have to kind of really be aware of in a collaboration. Otherwise, it won't work.
And, I think that brings up another great point, Martha, and that is if you're a solopreneur and you like being the Lone Ranger, collaborations may not be good for you because you do give up some of that autonomy. You do give up your ability to make unilateral decisions because now you're working as a team. You're not working just on your own behalf. So I think that's another pro and con, because if you're not going to play as a team player, you need to get out of the sandbox.
There you go. Well, Suzanne, we're coming up to our break. And in our next segment, what I want to talk about is talk about what makes a good collaboration partner. So we'll be right back in a few minutes with Suzanne Strisower in segment 2 of our collaboration. Collaborating for profit really is what we're doing here.
Remember, it doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. The ability begins with you, always. So says Oprah Winfrey. This is the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, helping you build your business. And we'll be right back with more from Martha Sanchez after these.
Are you like so many women working in a job you hate? Let Martha Sanchez take you from a regular mom to an entrepreneur. Just imagine running your own business and living the life you dream of. Take action to change your life with Martha's Mommy to Mogul coaching package so that you can do what you love and make money too. Go now to www.mommytomogul.com or call 305-209-KNOW. That's 305-209-NO.
This is the All Business Radio Network, ABRN.
Welcome to Podcasting by Professionals. My name is Keith with Radio Link's Broadcast Marketing, and I am here today to introduce you to 5 top industry pros who will teach you everything you need to know to start your own professional podcast. At the end of the course, we think you'll be well on your way to becoming an expert host of your own show. By the way, please do visit our website. It is podcastingbyprofessionals.com.
Welcome back to the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show with Martha Sanchez. She's here to provide you with information and resources that will empower you to build a successful business and reach financial independence. Now let's get back to the show. It's the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, empowering women to build a successful business. And here again is your host, Martha Sanchez.
Welcome back. And this is segment 2 with Suzanne Strisower. And if you want to get more information about Suzanne's The Best Virtual Book Tour, just go to thebestvirtualbooktour.com. Suzanne, we left them off kind of hanging about a question that we asked. And this is a question that we have to answer for ourselves, really, if we're thinking about a collaboration. And that's, what makes me be a good collaboration partner? What do I have to offer or bring to the table?
Well, that's a great point, Martha. And when we started talking about this, it's funny because I do a lot of this intuitively. And so, first I have to see if people feel right to me. Like if things are off with how they present themselves, if people's websites don't look right to me, if the way they talk isn't right, if there's something squirrely, for me, that will not make a good collaboration partner, because my assumption then is that there's other things that I may not be able to see or know that can also potentially be off the track. So for me, when I think about collaboration partners, I start with an intention. And so my intention is, what is it that I want out of the collaboration? And so is it that I want some kind of cross-promotion, whether that's social media, websites, or emails? Do I want affiliates to sell and market stuff for me? Do I want to co-create products with them? Do I want to interview them or find other potential teleseminar partners or radio show hosts to do exchanges with? Or is there some kind of joint venture I want? So I start with my intention of what it is that I'm wanting. And then once I know what I'm wanting, then I can be specific about what I'm looking for to then reach out to you properly. So when I think about, my most recent, or let's use podcasting for professionals, Martha. So when I think about podcasting for professionals and I think about collaborations, I think about each one of those things. So how is it if I talk to, X, Y, and Z radio show hosts, other fellow podcasters, do they fit into any of those things? Cross-promotion, affiliates, co-creative products, interviews, reciprocal interviews. So I start to get really clear about what I'm looking for. If I find coaches or authors or speakers or for some people have great products, how is it that I could plug them in based on what I want? So what I think about is first what I want and need, and then I think about, okay, who would those people be? And then I flip the mirror around and I say, okay, if that's what I want, what would they want and need? So then I begin to imagine what they would want and need to see if what I have to offer, different than what I'm asking from them, is something that they would want or need. And then that's where I know I want to start a conversation with somebody. And, when I think about you and I, Martha, and our original sort of conversations way back when, I reached out to you because I wanted and needed some radio show hosts. And so I wanted to know if you would be willing to do a collaboration with me, and you said you would. And then I wanted to get more specific. Did you have a certain number of listeners? How did your show run? Would you be willing to do this kind of interview? Would you be willing to provide these services? And in exchange, here's what I'd offer. And so I think, for me, it's if people start out with a clear idea of what they want out of the collaboration and then what they have to offer, that's the best possible place to begin for people.
Yeah, and I like the way you start off with what you want to get out and then what you have to offer and what you're willing to offer, because sometimes your collaborating partners may want more than you're willing to offer.
That's right.
Or I shouldn't say willing to offer, sometimes more than you can offer.
Right.
Because if they want a huge amount of your time, you may not be in a point in your business that you really can do that.
Well, that's one thing, Martha. And then the other thing I think, great point. The other thing I think is that, if you're a great jack of all trades, like I do book promotion work and I do hypnotherapy, I'm a life coach, I'm a podcaster, so I have this whole diverse range of things I do. But so let's just say somebody says, well, I really want you to help me author a book. Then even if that's something that I want to do, they want me to help them with a slasher book. I'm so not interested in that. So it has to be something that you want to do. Not like you said, not like that you can do it, but it has to be in alignment with who you are and your mission and vision, and does it fit within the scope of what you want to be doing? So even if you can, doesn't necessarily mean you will.
Yeah. And I love what you just said. And I hope that everybody listening got that distinction that you just made, Suzanne, because that was a very powerful distinction. And that is that you have to be in alignment with your mission and vision, your personal one and your business one, which should really be intertwined most times if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner. They're usually very, very much in alignment. And that is critical because if those are not in alignment with your prospective collaboration partner, the partnership won't work. And it's not because anybody is not a good, not a good partner. It's that they're not a good fit for you.
That's right. And, one of the things, Martha, that I've loved is that, over time when you and I have talked about one thing or other, I love how you'll say, well, that's not really a good fit for my business. That's not a good model for me. And I think when people really know themselves and they know what they want, what they need, what they have to offer, then as you're talking with collaboration partners, you can very quickly respond to wherever it is you need to be, and you also know where your boundaries are, where you're going, where you're not going. And so it can be a really effective conversation and a great way to make business. And if you're really clear, when I reached out to all those radio show hosts on behalf of the Best Virtual Book Tour, I went and reached out to probably 20 people, and out of that, I'd say 17 of them said yes to me. And that was because I was really clear about what I wanted and needed, what I had to offer, and what I was asking of them, which was also very doable. And so then people can give you their constraints, and if they give you their constraints, then it can be plugged in, and does it still work? So collaborations really mean you have to be able to share everything that's going on for you on both sides. And you and I have had those dialogues about when I wanted you on the Best Virtual Book Tour with me. And that's what makes for effective collaborations, is really both people being able to share and get what they want and need out of the deal.
Oh my gosh, yes. And you hit the nail on the head with that one, Suzanne. It's got to be a win-win proposition for both people.
Yep.
They both have to get something they want out of it, because if it's a one-way street, that never works in a collaboration.
That's right. And it also has to be something that is workable for both people. If it's not workable, but for some reason it's onerous, it's too much, it's the wrong way, it's not enough, then it's, even if it's the right thing, it's not the right collaboration. So, for instance, me doing life purpose work, if I find someone who's just working with one track of life purpose instead of all the different elements that I do, it's not a good collaboration partner for me, because I'm going to want to have a bigger space. They're going to want to keep it small and focused, and that will create some friction. It will not be a good collaboration.
Yeah, and goes back to knowing what your personal goal is, as well as becoming clear on what their goal is in terms of for their business and your business goals, and seeing if there's a synergy or a way that you can mesh the two that will work for both of you.
That's right. And I think the hallmark there, Martha, is to be open. When I have had all these conversations, and I think it may be partly if you're a radio show host, you do that because you have to interact with people. But also if you're a coach or a business owner, you still have to do that too. And so part of it's listening for, asking the right questions, making sure that people can clarify and connect with what they want and need, even if it hasn't been spoken, to bring it to the table so that everybody can make sure wherever they need to be about something has been expressed. And then there aren't sort of loose ends and surprises down the road.
Yeah, and I like what you talked about, which is listening, and that's a real big keystone to having an effective collaboration, really listening to your collaboration partner or your prospective collaboration. It's not just what they say, it's how they're saying it. And if there's something that is not clear, being open enough to say, let me make sure we're on the same page. This is what I was thinking. Was that what you were thinking, type of deal? And all of those types of things. So, really, it's not all about you. It's about now in a collaboration, both of you. And that's the big distinction. And like I said, it's a small marriage. It really is.
It is. And when it's done right, it can give you a lot of energy and fun and happiness. I mean, our Podcasting by Professionals collaboration is a wonderful one. And so when people get that together, it's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you've talked about some great points in all of this. So we've looked at what we bring to the table. We looked at what, we want for our partner to bring to the table and seeing the synergy of those. But the key, as you said, so aptly put it, starts with the person. And you who are looking for a collaborating partner, knowing exactly what you want.
Yeah, and I think that that's it in a nutshell. And I don't think people need to be afraid of it either. And you can kind of approach it softly. If people want to think about a collaboration but don't really know how to get there, you can simply phrase it, something like, I'm starting a business, or I'm working with people to get podcasters to, buy a course on podcasting, and I'm wondering if you know anybody who might want to get into podcasting. And then they'll answer with whatever they answer, and then you can say, is that something you want to do too? And then you can start to lead a conversation for people in a way that they can fold in and just it doesn't have to be a hard sell approach either.
Yeah, it and leaving the open-ended questions. And you're right. This is sort of a sales strategy in the sense that you are selling an idea to see if it's a good fit for this prospective collaborator. And it, that's what it boils down to. So you've got to ask the open-ended questions. You've got to have a clear vision and an idea of where you're going, do the follow-up, all of those things. But when, we've got about a minute left before the break, Suzanne, but when we come back, what I want to really talk about is how somebody can start to reach out to people if they've never done this type of collaboration before, and give them a couple of more tips on, ideas on what they can do, because you just gave a really nice, tip right now. But when we come back, I want to provide them with more tips on this and what they can do and how they can effectively create a conversation that explores the possibility of being a collaborating partner. So when we come back, we will come back with our third segment with Suzanne Strisower, and we're going to continue our conversation about collaboration.
Remember, it doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. The ability to triumph is with you, always. So says Oprah Winfrey. This is the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, helping you build your business. And we'll be right back with more from Martha Sanchez after these.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice, and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central, on TogiNet.com.
This is the All Business Radio Network, ABRN.
Are you looking for something more in your life or business? More success, more stability, more happiness? It's all out there waiting for you, but it doesn't just happen. You've got to go get it. Make It Happen with Michelle McCullough, where motivation and strategy intersect. Michelle is a serial entrepreneur, acclaimed speaker, and the Woohoo Radio Network's resident business and success strategist. Michelle has the smarts, strategies, and experience to help you improve your life and take your business to the next level. You've got big dreams. You've got big vision. Now it's time for you to make it happen.
Welcome back to the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show with Martha Sanchez. She's here to provide you with information and resources that will empower you to build a successful business and reach financial independence. Now let's get back to the show. It's the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, empowering women to build a successful business. And here again is your host, Martha Sanchez.
Welcome back, and we're here in our third segment with Suzanne Strisower. And you can find out more about Suzanne at thebestvirtualbooktour.com. All right, Suzanne, we were going to give them a couple of more tips and strategies on how somebody who's new to the prospect of collaboration can go about doing an exploration with a prospect on collaborating with something.
You know, as you were on break, Martha, I was thinking about that. And, you know, one of the ways, because some people are introverted, so they really don't like this whole business of, you know, reaching out to people and how do you connect with people in the world. And so one of the ways you can do that is something that I do all the time. And I do it for my radio shows. I do it for my book tour. I do it for a bunch of different things. And that is I do email pitches. So I just reach out and I say, would you be interested in doing whatever? And here's what I have to offer in return for doing that. And you would be surprised how often it is, and I get a lot of responses, Martha. I'm going to say I probably get a 90% response rate, that when I take the time to clearly express what I want, need in an email, what I'm willing to offer to get that, I understand how they, and I even tell them how I think they can work with me because I've researched them. And so they have a positive feeling already about me because I've already looked into who they are, and I'm telling them how they can help me, so they don't even have to think about that they already have a conversation, that they already have a starting point, and I have a starting point with them. It's just like when people are looking at researching for getting a job. You know, you want to look at the companies you want to be employed by. So this is kind of a similar thing where you actually can send an email. You just make it simple email, and then you just change a paragraph or two. So if you have to reach out to a bunch of different people, you don't even have to work that hard. And so a lot of this I do to start my collaborations, I start as emails. 90% of them I start as emails. And the other thing, so that's one tip. The other tip I think is really important is that you can reach out to anybody if you're clear and if you have something that you want and need, it's compelling, and you have a way for them to fulfill it and they get something out of it. And so, you know, I've done that for, you know, going back again to the radio shows because I just think it makes sense. That's what I've been doing the most of lately, that what happens is that you have an immediate way to start a conversation with someone. And it can also be for authors. I've done this with authors and people who are radio show hosts specifically for authors. And so when you reach out to them, and I've told them what I wanted and needed, gave them the vision, and they're like, what a fantastic thing, helping nonfiction authors. And so all of a sudden, when they can see that there's a bigger vision, something they can buy into, they will often want to be a collaboration partner because they want to share in a mission, something bigger than themselves, something that they can believe in, but you actually were the one that took the lead and started that. So I've had people approach me to do collaborations that way, and I've reached out to people to do collaborations as very successful, and people are always happy. And you know within 5 seconds if you got the wrong person or not, because they're either going to be responsive and they'll actually, this is a funny thing, Martha, they'll actually say something like, oh, I'm so glad you reached out to me because I would love to get involved with that. And there's excitement. You don't have to enroll people or, you know, get them excited. No, they want to help you.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because when we started talking about podcasting by professionals, the excitement for me was I thought about myself when I first started doing a radio show, and I thought about the struggles I went through and, what I would not have given for someone out there to provide me with a program that would take me step by step to help me produce a professional show, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a professional show. And I got really excited about that part of it. I thought to myself, oh, how wonderful it is to help others get their message out and make them sound professional and start doing it right from the very beginning instead of struggling as some of us had to do because there was nothing out there for us. So I immediately bought into that collaboration because that was something I had a passion for, as you did, Suzanne. That's something that you had a passion for. So that's what you're saying there is the perfect example. You really don't have to do a hard sell. If you have to do a hard sell for a collaboration, then that's not really a good collaboration partner.
It isn't. And in fact, that's one I would run from in a heartbeat, because that means you're always going to have to push to make something happen. And you want people who are really there, who are going to work with you, who are going to help you, who are going to extend themselves for you. And, you know, just to give a little sort of personal backstory here, Martha, to your listeners and audience about how these things can successfully work, you and I started a collaboration in August of last year, which we've been talking about during the show, called Podcasting by Professionals. And it was to help, like you just said, bring on other people who have a message to share with the world. And then, as you know, I had some health challenges and some health emergencies with people I know in my life. And then all of a sudden, I was out of commission in November and December. And yet, because I had fantastic collaboration partners, and you and Teresa and Keith, you guys kept that ball rolling even when I couldn't. So the other thing about collaboration partners, which is fabulous, is if you share a vision and a mission and everybody does their part, that even when someone is not available, it means that you're still getting things moving and things are still happening because other people are kind of stepping in and making things happen. So collaborations can also be a fantastic way to shore up your strength, yourself, pick up where you have where you're not as strong. Like, I'm not as strong at social media as you are. You're brilliant at that. And so the other thing I love about collaborations is that they make up for your weaknesses. So ideally, when you think about collaboration partners, if you're listening, think about what it is that you need to have, areas where you're not strong, where if you had someone who was strong, you would be a much better whole composite for whatever it was that you're trying to get your business going and your collaboration for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That's one of the huge benefits, because we are all not good at everything. Let's be honest. I mean, you know, there are things that I'm weak in. There's things that other people that I'm strong in, and I can come in and help with the things I'm strong in, and somebody else can come in and help with the things that I'm not. And that to me is the perfect collaboration. I think about it as puzzle pieces, and we're putting this master puzzle together, and by putting all the interlocking pieces together, we're going to come out with a beautiful product. And that's the visual I always have in my mind in a good collaboration. And you're not trying to jam the pieces to make them fit, but they just smoothly fit into place.
And, you know, you couldn't be more right on, Martha. And I think, you know, just to extend that, the last piece, I feel like good collaborations are easy. You know, you have to put some effort out, but you don't have to put energy out. You don't have to fight fires. Things just work when you have a good collaboration. And people see eye to eye, and it really makes things just happen so much better. So I think if there's a flow, you know you're doing the right thing in your collaboration. If not, you know you need to be thinking about something different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know you've given us a couple of examples. Do you have more examples of things that you want to watch out for in terms of collaboration or successful examples of successful collaborations, rather? And I know you've talked a little bit about the Best Virtual Book Tour and, of course, the Podcasting by Beginners product, but anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, so here's another thing, is that I have what I'm going to call a collaborator's mind, Martha, because I am a resource person. I collect resources and people. And so I can be sitting down at a dinner, and I will have a group of people around me, and someone will say, well, you know, I'm really looking for I would love to, or this or that or the other thing. And so what I'll say to them is, oh, here's who you should call. And sometimes I'll even just pick up the phone and make a phone call on their behalf. You know, and one time I did that over dinner for some college student who needed a tutor, and I knew some other people who were experts and also at the school. I said, here you go, get it worked out. And so collaborations don't have to be big and complicated. They can be very simple. And if you're a resource person, to just know that anybody that you know can be a resource for another person in some way. And the same way is if you are an accomplished business person, then you have a lot of resources. I was stunned the other day. I went and decided to put my business cards in order. I had 600 business cards.
Oh, my God.
I was
Suzanne.
shocked. I was shocked, Martha. And so, I could sit down with each one of those and I could figure out how I wanted to collaborate with them based on who they are and based on who I am. So there would be a win-win for everybody. And I think people need to be strategic about that. And so another thing about collaboration partners is they can also be great business development leads for you. So, for instance, I reached out to a bunch of women, and I wanted these women to help me with the Best Virtual Book Tour. You were one of those women. And I had all these other women. And then as I knew each one of you, I said, oh, my God, these are powerful women. They should know about each other. And they didn't. And so what I did was I wanted to put them together just because it would make a stronger women and everybody would have more collaborations. And that's how Teresa and you and I all got work together. And so I think that the word collaboration can have a lot more bandwidth or meaning than just I want to do some kind of business deal with you. Or for people, I want you to think about when you go to a workshop or some kind of business development, personal, professional growth and development seminar. Anytime you're sitting down at a table and you do your elevator speech, hi, my name is, and I do whatever, you are in the process of asking about collaboration because you're wanting something from them, business, and you're also willing to give them something, whatever that thing is that they're looking for. So I think that, we operate as business people successfully if we are doing collaborations, and sometimes it happens so naturally it's completely unconscious.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually when it happens that naturally, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
That's right.
Because our conversation was just so smooth and so natural. It was perfect, and we were clear with each other about, our limitations, our goals, what we wanted to do. And that's what made everything very smooth in developing it. So you've provided such great strategies. And I want to talk when we come back, Suzanne, because we're coming on our break now in the fourth segment. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about how we can be strategic about collaborations, because that's something that people need to get just a little bit more information about, because sometimes they think about collaboration so general and they don't think about the strategy piece of it, which I think is key in being successful.
It is.
So
it is.
When we come back, we'll talk some more with Suzanne Strisower in our fourth and final segment.
Or where you came from. The ability to triumph begins with you, always. So says Oprah Winfrey. This is the Mogul Radio Show, helping you build your business. And we'll be right back with more from Martha Sanchez after these.
Welcome to Podcasting by Professionals. My name is Keith with Radio Links Broadcast Marketing, and I am here today to introduce you to 5 top industry pros who will teach you everything you need to know to start your own professional podcast. At the end of the course, we think you'll be well on your way to becoming an expert host of your own show. By the way, please do visit our website. It is podcastingbyprofessionals.com.
This is the All Business Radio Network. ABRN.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Gerasi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show with Martha Sanchez. She's here to provide you with information and resources that will empower you to build a successful business and reach financial independence. Now let's get back to the show. It's the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, empowering women to build a successful business. And here again is your host, Martha Sanchez.
And we're back in our fourth and final segment with Suzanne Strisower, our strategy specialist, and she's been working with us on talking about collaborations. So, Suzanne, we were going to talk a little bit more about doing strategic collaborations. And that's a very powerful concept, and I want to explore it a little bit more.
So we've talked with people about, what it takes, what is involved in collaborations and kind of being like-minded. And now let's talk about what it would look like to be more strategic. So in the first segment when we talked about cross-promotion, affiliates, co-creating products, interviews, and joint ventures. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can keep yourself out of trouble when you're approaching potential collaboration partners. And the first one is, what is it that you're bringing to the table? So specifically and strategically, cross-promotion. So are you like a wizard on social media? So you have great social media numbers, but you have your website, you only have 1,000 email names on your list. Or how's your website doing? So one of the things that you want to do when you think about being strategic is, what is it you have to offer and where are your own limitations? And we talked about this in one of the previous segments of this as well, about, what do I do well and what do I need help with? So when you think about, if you want cross-promotion, where are you doing well and where are you not doing so well? And then how can you find partners to help make up that difference who are willing to do something on your behalf, which may mean that you pay an affiliate arrangement for them. If they're willing to do that, they get some percentage from mailing out to their list. So the strategy of this is to know what you want and need and know how it is you have to offer someone something. So then for affiliates, and let's just say Martha has a social media package and I have a life purpose package. And so those are not the same. So is there a way that both of us could use those different things on our website? Could I use a social media package for my clients, and could she use life purpose for hers? And when you think about this and you think about who we are, and this is a perfect example because from this perspective, Martha and I may not be the best collaboration partners because most of my people who are looking for life purpose are not yet about business. And most of her clients are already in business and have a purpose and don't need to think about their life purpose. So when you think about strategies and collaboration partners, you want to think about, who are you working with? What do they want and need really? And what do you have to offer, and to see if that really works? So one of the things I do is I always try on what it is that I have to offer and see if there's a fit. Like Martha and I do 2 radio shows. I do one on life purpose and more spiritual and more eclectic, and she does one that's about business. And so, again, we can collaborate as radio show hosts, but in terms of our primary businesses, they're very different. And then also co-creating. If you're going to strategically co-create with someone, I'm an excellent curriculum designer, radio and television show producer, and creative director. I do all kinds of things at the front end very creatively. At the back end, I'm terrible with technology. So when I'm looking for collaboration partners, I want to know who's going to do all the back-end stuff, who's going to work with all the computer-related stuff, all the technology, the film, whatever, media it's in. And so I'm looking for partners like that. So you want to be really honest with yourself about what do you do, what do you love to do, and then what do you need other people to do. And then when I think about being strategic for interviews, for teleseminars, like let's just say I was going to go do a teleseminar series on life purpose. And there was a man whose teleseminar series I did do, and he asked me to be a collaboration partner of his, and he wanted me to do life purpose using my life purpose DNA model. He had a man who did essential work. He had a numerologist. He had an astrologer. He had a business life purpose personal mission person, and all these people were different people who he then brought to the table as collaboration partners around a teleseminar concept. So can you do that? Like, again, that issue and idea of me and Martha doing radio shows. And finally is joint ventures. How can you strategically partner with other people to do something better than you are? So, for instance, I work in a more spiritual, more lifestyle model of radio shows. Martha works in all business. And so our other partners, one is in distribution, works with satellite radio. We're on internet radio. My background was in terrestrial radio. And one of our other partners was a terrestrial radio person. And then the other woman was on the internet for 25 years. So when you think about joint ventures, again, think about how strategically you can work with all these different people and how each one can play a different part, even if it's something you hadn't even considered to be, and then you have to imagine how that would work. And so to be strategic is to kind of think out loud, think ahead of yourself, think around the whole picture, and then just see where you land.
Absolutely. And another great example for us is our collaboration with for podcasting by professionals with global broadcasting networks, because they were looking for somebody to for new hosts to make it easier for their new hosts to be successful from the get-go. So that was a great fit for us. We've got other partners that are in the works, which we're keeping a little bit underneath the radar until everything is finalized. But there are such amazing opportunities. We've got Keith and Radio Links with his Igloo app. So that's that was a great collaboration partner that brought another level to the product. Of course, we already talked about yourself, Suzanne, with your strategic collaborations abilities, as well as your interview techniques and your guest interview techniques. Teresa with her content creation and her branding, and myself with the marketing aspect. So between the four of us, we brought together everything that would be needed for the product. And if you're creating a product, if that's your model, that's exactly what you want to do. Versus if you're just getting together to augment each other's services and to cross-sell and doing affiliate arrangements, that's a totally different strategy that you might use. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. And I think there's actually some other piece here, Martha, that we haven't talked about, and I think it's important something to be said. When you look and reach out for collaboration partners, most times people who are doing collaborations are already successful. So you want to make sure that you have a certain stature and accomplishment and ability when you reach out to other people. Because if you reach out to people who are more accomplished than you are, and then you don't bring your piece to the table, people can hear that in your voice even in those first conversations. So I think it's important to remember that if you're going to be a collaboration partner, you really want to be able to bring your own A game and your own expertise to the table and already have accomplished that. You don't want to make mistakes or be learning on other people's time, because then it's more of a consultation arrangement than a collaboration. So I think, helping people just remember that there is a difference in how to be a good collaboration partner.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right, because that's not a win-win situation. If you're learning on other people's dime, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right, unless you're upfront with that, and there's something else they're getting out of the deal. But generally, it makes much more sense to go and have it be something where they're equally matched, and then things can flow much better.
Absolutely. Well, Suzanne, we've got about 4 minutes left before the end of the show. You want to talk a little bit about your offer that you had for everybody?
I'd love to. And I think before we do that, Martha, I think we should talk about local terrestrial and internet, because internet and terrestrial are also different in some ways. And so for some people, they might be more interested in working one-on-one with people, and some people might like virtual, like you and I do. And so for people who want to do terrestrial radio, you can approach your local radio stations, because now what they're doing is they have sometimes half-hour segments where they're doing kind of like a community access period of time where you can actually go in and work with your local people. Again, but you have to know what you bring to the table. Like, you're not going to go and bring, some country station, some kind of, different format or different type of music or different type of content. So you have to make sure, again, that you're collaborating with your right partner. And then in the Internet, there's so much open space. It's a frontier yet to be, really claimed. Like, there is not yet an Amazon or Google of Internet radio. And so people really have a great opportunity if they want to do that. And so, I really recommend that people think about, in some way, being on the radio, doing a podcast like you and I are, so that they can put themselves out. There's, at last count, when I looked, 489 different directories and then thousands of shows on each one of those. So the sky is the limit if you want to go and, think about doing something like that. And, certainly joining us with Podcasting by Professionals to be a starting point if you want to do that.
Great.
So then, in terms of what I have to offer for people, if you're interested, one of the other things that I do, we haven't talked much about today, is book promotions and author promotion services. And again, I use all these collaborations that I've made over the years, all these partners in all these different places, to go and help people get their books out in the world, get them launched, do book launches, book promotions. And if you're interested, you can go to my website, thebestvirtualbooktour.com, and you'll see that I have a contact page. You can contact me, and I'm offering anybody that's listening to your show, Martha, a free 45-minute author strategy session where I actually will take people through learning what it is that they need to know about their infrastructure, their visibility and sales channels to be able to reach 1 million people, and the ways to do that, either by hiring somebody or what you need to know to make that happen, or to do-it-yourself solutions. And I'd be happy to give your audience that possibility, Martha. So thebestvirtualbooktour.com and an author strategy session with me.
Oh, my God, that's amazing. And I have to tell you, you can just see how connected Suzanne is. She is certainly the resource woman, I have to tell you. So thank you, Suzanne, for your generosity. And,
thanks, Martha. It's been a pleasure, again, sharing and, enjoying our collaboration.
Oh, thank you. And you just provided such a plethora of information and valuable resources and tips that people can use. So thank you again for being on the show. And don't forget to join us next Tuesday for the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show, again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Radio Show with your host, Martha Sanchez. Be sure to join us again next Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more of the Mommy to Mogul Radio Show. Martha's goal is to empower you to build a successful business and reach financial independence. For more information on how to get the